Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, 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 Sister Toni. How you doing? Hello, 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 everyone. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. Mama G, hi. Hey, Weketi, how you doing? Hello, hello. Thanks for coming on board. Thanks for coming on board. Had a bit of a challenge with my connection. So I was wondering what was going on. Hi, Toni. We're going to be connecting in a few minutes. How you doing? Nice to see everyone. Nice to see everyone. Nice to see everyone. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. My goodness, JT, live and direct. How you doing? How are you doing? Thanks for coming on board. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. I'm doing good, Mama G. It's been a bit interesting. It's been a bit interesting. My connection was just funny all of a sudden. But we're here. We're going to do this. 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 Nom, how are you doing? Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining. I'm just on my tablet at the moment. We believe God is going to hold up strong. But this is Young and Strong. This is a time when we listen to young people. It's not about me, but it's about listening to young people, having that conversation, finding out what exactly is going on with our young people, finding out what are the challenges that they have in these times, finding out how we as that generation can be a blessing to them. It's about having those conversations. Thanks for coming on board. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining. I'm not going to take too much of your time talking about myself. I mean, my name's Aunty. I guess you know that since you joined. And then we're here. Like I said, I've been very passionate about young people. I believe that they have a lot to say. And a lot of times what we do is we go and we tell them. But my desire, my goal, my dream is to hear what they've got to say, because they've got a lot to say. And I recall in the last session we had, hi Blessings, how you doing, girl? That we had, and I was talking to Abby, and we're talking about the kind of challenges that young people have. We're talking about the way they deal with stuff. You know, we assume that we know, but sometimes you don't know exactly how they deal with stuff, and it's important that we find out what exactly they're saying, even when they're not using all the words we expect them to be using. And so those are the kind of conversations I'm interested in having. And those are the kind of conversations that Young and Strong has with people. Now, I have a base scripture, a foundation scripture, and that's where this idea came from. It's in 1 John 2, chapter 1 John 2, verse 14b, which says, I speak to you young people because you are strong and you know the word of God and you have overcome the evil one. And that's something that I've always used as a basis for whatever conversations I have with young people. I think they're young. I think they're strong. And that's where that's where my conversations come from. Well, I'm not going to say too much about myself. So, Toni, if you want to send me a request, you're just going to comment and we're just going to get this going. And I trust that we're going to have a lovely time. I believe that God is going to do this with us. Hi, Tabby. Thanks for coming. Nice to see you. And we're just going to get this going. So, Toni, if you just send me a request, and I'm just going to add you to me. I hope Abby comes on again today. We had such a lovely time the last time where we were talking about the way that young people deal with things, such as the fact that they do tend to internalize things a lot. The fact that we don't have the conversations with the older generation that we would have loved them to have, you know. And you know, I hope that we're going to have those conversations again tonight. I'm just going to see where where Toni requested. Yeah, there we go. I'm just gonna turn. So I'm just gonna wait for Toni to join me. Hey
Hi,
girl,
Aunty.
hey girl, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Well, I am well. How are you?
Oh, I'm good, thank you. I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's just been a bit of a nightmare, but I'm not gonna let it bug me because my phone just went funny all of a sudden, and I'm thinking, not today. Definitely not today. Well, we're just gonna keep plowing on. We're just gonna keep on going. Thank you so much for coming. It is an honor
No,
for me. You know
thank you
that.
for having me. Oh,
Right.
it's
And I
honor to be.
guess we're gonna have one of some of those really great conversations. Yes?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so Tony, you tell us a little bit about yourself, because this is about young people. So we're not talking about, well, somebody called me elderly the last time and I said no, but we're not.
So my name is Toni, and I am 20. Um, I'm currently a student. I'm studying osteopathy. Um, and yeah, I'm staying in London. I'm studying in London. Um, yeah, I met Auntie T at church, and she's just amazing. Auntie T,
I'm just great, aren't
Auntie
I?
T, that woman. So
Hey Mel, how you
excited to be
doing?
here.
Hi Bim, how are you? Yes. So Tony, should we get right to it?
Yes, let's go.
Tell me, what is it like to be a young person in these times?
Okay, so I think that it can be quite tricky from time to time. I think because especially for a lot of us who come from like African parents or parents who have migrated to England, they kind of hold their standards when raising you, but you are in a different place and a different time, and it's like it's a bit hard to navigate sometimes. Um, what what am I meant to do? What do I want to do? And is what I want to do okay? Does it make sense according to my parents? Does it make sense according to my peers? Just kind of in that balance, in that limbo. But yeah, I think
So
it's
tell us,
good because I guess
what kind of things do we African parents kind of expect? What kind of challenges? What kind of things? I know in my time, yeah, well, maybe they expect you to be a lawyer or a doctor. Do you get those kind of challenges? By the
oh
way, hi Nia, I see you.
no, for me
Do you get
actually,
those kind of challenges as well?
for me, my parents weren't you have to be a lawyer, you have to be a doctor, you have to do this, but they were very they made sure that I did well academically. And I think it's good because, of course, just because you're not good at something doesn't mean you shouldn't try. So, for example, I struggled a bit in maths, and my parents really wanted me to be good at maths. They got me the tutors and everything. They just wanted me to excel in whatever I did. But they were happy to support me in whatever I chose to do. And thank God I chose to be in the medical profession because I don't know if I chose to be like I don't know an actress. I guess it might have been a different story. I'm not sure, but I think they just really encouraged me to just do well in whatever I chose to do. Yeah.
Okay. But did you ever have any conversations with some of your peers where they didn't get that kind of support? Hi, Kimberly. Kemi, that's my sister.
Oh,
Hi. That
hello.
that they didn't get that kind of support where they still had that pressure of no, this is what I want you to do and this is what you need to do.
Uh, it's hard to say. I think a lot of my friends actually are a bit straight and narrow, but I do have a friend who is like in the arts, and her parents did support her, but it took a lot because she didn't want to like go to uni straight away. So it was like a gap year, and like in that gap year, parents can be a bit pushy. They can be a bit like, "Why are you not doing what your friends are doing? I expect you to be here," and they don't really understand that everything is according to your own pace, or we try to do things according to our own pace, but they expect us to be at a certain level at a certain age. So I would say that, but not that they didn't want her to go into the area that she's in. They just wanted her to go to uni, do the socially acceptable thing at the socially accepted time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And another question that I always wonder is, and it's something that came up when we had that last conversation. So when that kind of pressure comes, like you said, you didn't get that kind of pressure from, your folks. They were quite supportive.
Mhm.
But when that kind of pressure comes, how do young people deal with it when you're like, this is what my parents want you to do? Have you ever had any conversations or where you're
Yeah.
like, okay, they're asking me to do this, I don't want to. How do young people react? What is their way of reacting to those kind of pressures?
I think for my friends, it's just a bit it's like they're downtrodden slowly. They're just slowly like their dreams like being pushed down in a way. Like, oh, another day I have to do what my parents want me to do, like, or if they choose not to do what their parents want them to do, it's like a problem. There's just tension in that relationship, and it's just difficult until they eventually do what their parents want them to do. So I guess they're constantly feeling like, oh, I just feel like I'm a disappointment in a way. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. But so do you think that has caused some kind of tension between, that generation, your generation, if I could use it that way, and my generation, in
Yeah.
terms of, do young people believe that we don't get you?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, come on, don't say yes. So, like,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Do you really believe that, we don't get you? And why do you think we don't get you?
I think you understand the general premise of like youth youthhood, I guess you would say. Like you understand, that there's certain things that we want to do and stuff, can't do it, and that's that. Like there's no room for discussion or explanation. They just, I guess, because with your generation, it's like you did what your parents wanted you to do, and
Hmm.
there was no question.
Well, not all
Even if
of us, a lot of us. Look at my sister. My sister says, like this says, we don't get them. Me, I try to get you guys, though.
no, you do
I
try.
do try to get you guys, but my sister says we don't get you. Is that true? I mean, for my contemporaries on the chat, is it true that we don't get the young people? You know, we get you guys, but do you think it's like we don't speak the language? Is it that we don't know how to communicate, or is it that we just really just want our way or the highway? What do you think? Is it
Yeah,
that
I
we don't?
think you probably get us, like, but you just don't want to listen. You just don't want to like.
That said yes, Auntie, it's true. We don't want to
It's
listen.
true. It's true. Well, yeah, actually, someone did say it differs from parent to parent, which is true. Yeah, but I think on just in general, it's like you can talk and talk and talk, but you still have to do what I want you to do.
Oh, come on. There's some parents in there. Is it true? I mean, Blessing says that we don't even want to understand. You
Sometimes I
know,
feel like that. Yeah.
my goodness. You know what? Very soon, anyway. At some point, we're gonna have a session, and it's gonna be about. I'm gonna bring the parents,
Parents,
and we're
okay,
gonna.
back to here.
And we're gonna be. It's gonna be the parents. Now we're gonna hear our own side of the story. So when you feel like, okay, you're not being heard, when young people feel as if they're not being heard, how do they realize?
Oh gosh, I'm gonna put myself on blast. I haven't always reacted the best way. I think sometimes I just like blow my lid and just ah, kind of get angry and stuff and be like, you're not listening, like, and then it's almost like I forcefully get my point across. Like it's not great all the time. So I have learned to calm down and tame myself. But I know growing up, like 14, between 14 and 16, I was really, really fiery, I would say. Oh, yeah. I would
Mm.
really just angry, get angry quickly. Yeah,
Okay.
that's good.
But is it possible, because my sister said somewhere in there that is it that you guys don't understand us? Is that possible?
I think back then I didn't understand sometimes, but I also didn't feel understood. So it's just like
Ah,
back in head, we just don't understand each other. But I think now I try and understand, or I try and step back and then think about, oh, why are they saying this? And then I'll consider it, then I'll go back and I'll say, maybe you feel like this, but I've considered this and I don't think it's going to be like this. And we'll try and have a conversation rather than a dictation. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Because somebody just said, I mean, Kemi, my sister just said that if it's put forward like it's a value rather than it's a rule, that it's a demand,
Yeah.
and you come to an understanding of, this is for your benefit. Is it as if that it doesn't come forward like it's for your benefit? It's like, no, this
Yeah,
is
it's
what I
like,
want.
I think for sometimes it's like, but why? Because you see so many other people that it's like they've done it and there's nothing bad that's happened to them. So if you're saying it's for my benefit, like what is it protecting me from? I don't understand. And then you just don't explain it properly. So I remember having a conversation with my mom about like modeling, not me, but just hypothetically, like if one of me or my sisters wanted to go into modeling, and she was like, I don't want you to go into modeling. I said, why? And she was like, I just don't. And I was just like, it's just not, there's no explanation. You just don't want me to go. And then maybe, I mean, I think my dad eventually explained it, but I was just like, you could have explained that yourself instead of saying, no, I just don't want you to. I don't want you to. So that's,
Okay, so there's got to be a reason. It can't just
yeah,
be
yeah,
no.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody said, I mean, Fikayo, hi. I know Fikayo is going to have quite a bit to say. Fikayo says sometimes we discipline without explanation. Is
Yes,
that true?
yes,
Why are you
yes,
all saying yes? What's up with
yes. It's
that?
like I feel like because you grew up in a place where like your parents didn't have to explain to you. If your parents said you're not going here, then you're just not going. But it's just like here we kind of have a bit more like we're just curious and we're allowed to voice that curiosity. So if I'll ask my mom why, and she just was like, I don't have to explain myself to you, or kind of that attitude. Sometimes I think when I was growing up, maybe because they think that we're immature, that we're too immature to understand their reasons. So they just feel like, oh, there's no one explaining. But I think there should always be an explanation for why, so that you'll be able to understand and not go behind your parents' backs. Because there's the risk of that. I feel like when you just assigned a rule with no explanation, there is the risk that they're going to do it, you just won't know about it, and that's sometimes even worse. Yeah.
Okay. So every time we want to discipline you, we've got to tell you
Yes.
why we're doing what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of words, man.
Yeah, it's about patience. It's about patience. And I feel like, do you know what? It's so weird for me to say this, but I do watch like some like parenting stuff, or like just YouTube videos that is like, oh, how to discipline your kids. Because I want to be that kind of parent that listens.
You're watching that already?
Yeah, I know, it's so weird.
You've all been like weird or just
Yeah,
ahead of your time.
yeah, just I guess ahead of my time. Yeah,
By the time it's your generation, your kids will just be like, I mean, when you call them, it's a hologram that's just going to appear in front of you. you know, that's the irony sometimes, because you assume that your way is going to be relevant when it's your turn.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think sometimes maybe that's the question because we all assume that what we're doing is going to be relevant to the next generation. So it's as if you don't get me now, but when I become a parent, my kids are going to get me.
Yes.
But I'm just going to tell them what I feel you should be telling me now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you think, go on.
Talking to my mom, and she was always like, oh, she said that when she was growing up, she always said, oh, when I have kids, like, I'm not gonna smack them or anything like that. And then obviously you get into the situation and it's different. So I don't know, but I want to try and listen as much as I can, try and be as patient as I can.
Okay, that's very, very kind of you.
I know.
You indulge your mom, you be like, yeah, just finish what you're saying, mom. We know it, we understand it. Well, like somebody said, is it true that we say that children should be seen and not heard?
Do you think that?
Me? I don't. Somebody feels that.
Children should be seen and not heard. I think sometimes. Yeah.
Sometimes. Do you think sometimes you guys should be seen and not heard?
Oh no, I don't think that we should be. I think that
you should always be heard. You always have an opinion.
No. Not always be heard. I think sometimes we have to be slow to speak and quick to listen. That's that's one of my rules that I'm trying to implement into my life. But I do feel like after we've listened, though, there should be time for us to be heard. It shouldn't always be us listening, and you not knowing how we feel. We should definitely be heard at some point.
Okay, we'll always let you be heard, because I can almost feel like some people carrying placards now. we need to be heard. We need to be heard. No, let us be heard. We do want to hear you. I'm sure you understand. And I mean, this wasn't meant to be like a parenting class or anything like that. But it is true, because something that we said in the last session was about the fact that there's got to be some kind of bridging the gap, because there seems to be that kind of divide which we don't understand. And like somebody said, it's as if we speak two different languages sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, what do you hear when we talk? I mean, is it as if there's already an assumption that this is what they're going to say anyway?
Yes. Oh, so actually, for me, it was a bit different. My parents are actually a bit, like, they were quite lenient with some things and a bit stricter with other things. So I know, for example, going out, I was allowed to go out, I was allowed to go to parties and stuff like that. But some of my friends were not, and they never knew why. Their parents just said, no, you're just not going, you're not going. It's like, but why? It's almost like they're just, you're hitting a brick wall, like everybody else is going, and then they're like, no. No, there's no reason, or like, you're just not understanding. Maybe they think there's danger or something like that, but you're not understanding because no one else is in danger.
So that brings me to something that I've always wondered. Now, when those kind of things happen, do you think that's why some people get into school and they're maybe like they go up to uni, and then it's just like, finally, and then they just get into a lot of foolishness?
Yeah.
Is that, you think that?
I absolutely do think that. I do, yeah. Because I feel like, for me, I was allowed to do things. So when I got into uni, it wasn't like, it's like freedom and like you just act a fool and stuff like that. But for people who never got the taste, never were allowed to go out and stuff like that, once they get the taste, it's there. And that's going back to what I was saying before as well. Like, you don't want to just tell your kids something and then not have an explanation, because they will do it behind your back. Almost like, it's almost guaranteed, I want to say. They will just do it behind your back, yeah. Or they'll lie to you, and I don't think there's any parent that wants that kind of relationship where it's built on dishonesty. Because if you can't communicate, you'll find a way to do it. Your parents just won't know. And then unfortunately, some people just get in trouble because
they never knew why they weren't allowed. So now that they can do it, they just go ahead and do it. And so something else that I always wondered, and I think it was something that we talked about. So when they do this stuff and they get into trouble, when young people get into trouble, and I'm not talking about necessarily get in trouble with the law or get arrested, but kind of like get into trouble, like you do stuff and then you find some kind of consequence or the
Yeah.
other. Where do they go? Who do they talk to?
Their friends. Like, I almost certainly. And I feel like they'll delay having to talk to their parents as long as possible. Unless their parents absolutely have to get involved, they'll just leave it. They'll leave it because they know what's going to happen. If they tell their parents, it's going to be a news. It's just going to be a different story, and they don't want to hear about it. So they just rather tell, friends, siblings. For me, I'm the oldest sibling, so I wouldn't tell my younger sibling stuff, but my younger siblings would tell me stuff. Yeah.
Okay. And why would you talk to parents? Why wouldn't you talk to? So when will they finally talk to an adult?
Just when it's too much to handle, like they have nowhere else to go. If they just I don't know, if we're looking at something quite serious, like let's say pregnancy, for example, they won't tell they tell their parents, I guess, if they haven't succeeded with any other means of maybe getting rid of the baby, unfortunately. They'll just tell their parents, delay telling their parents until they just have to.
So how do you think, in your opinion, and I know it might be a tough sell, how can we build that kind of relationship where you know that if there's stuff, they'll talk to you? That you're not a last resort, but that you are like a primary resort or very, very close to the beginning, rather than when, it's just in a funny place. How can we bridge that gap?
I would go back. So it starts from when it's little things, listening, just listening, hear me out, and I'll hear you out. And also manage your reactions. When you see some things, maybe you've done something small and you're reacting in a huge way, you know that if it's this big, it's just over. So you have to really, really just try and just relax. Relax.
Okay, I can see it. Someone say, don't judge, don't overreact, don't punish us.
Punishment, I feel like is inevitable, like if you've done something really bad. But there's just a way to discipline that is not like, I'll never tell you anything again. Because a lot of us, I feel like growing up, a lot of us have been like, I'm never telling you anything again. Never. Because I know that you're going to react like this. And I just don't want to have to get into that situation.
Oh, now someone like me, my face is very reactive. You immediately know what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
You understand? So, but
I feel like your reactive face, like you can show that you're upset or something, but you don't have to voice it like so harshly. I guess some parents are like, I can't believe you've done this, and it's like, okay, and then it just causes you to like shut off from like from sharing your emotions with your parents because you don't want that reaction.
Okay, so help me here.
Okay.
What do we do? Do we take a deep breath? Someone like me, do I have to wear a mask? What what is it? Well, in these times we're wearing masks, so you're wearing masks indoors, like somebody said, honestly, it's just a reaction. So is it that we just, is it because, do you think it's because there's just this great expectation and every little thing we're just on,
Yeah, sometimes like, and I don't think that you shouldn't have great expectations for us, but I do feel like you need to allow us to communicate our expectations for ourselves as well. You can't You can't say, I expect this, I expect this. You're just putting pressure on someone. You don't even know if they want that kind of pressure. You can't dictate someone's life. And yeah.
Oh, you think somebody's life? This is my child
I
you're
know,
talking
I know.
about,
But there
or
are
somebody
other
we
persons.
care about. So, but you know, I do get what you're saying. But I think the flip side is also, do you get where our generation is also coming from?
Yes, yes. I especially like for African parents, like they came a
Oh
long
God,
way.
help us, African parents.
Because that's what I know. So like they've come a long way. They've had a lot of struggles on the way, having to do jobs that they may not have necessarily wanted to do.
Mm,
Like studying in Nigeria and then having to come and study again because maybe the qualifications they got weren't accepted here and stuff like that. So they're thinking that I'm here like to give you a good life. Like you don't have to do all of that. So your life is easier. In a way, that's what they're thinking. Your life is already easy. You don't have to do all of that. So I'm just the expectations I have for you are very like they're attainable. And they might be attainable, but they're just not wanted or desired by the person that you're putting it on.
right. Okay. So, do you think it's transferred? In other words, if I had to go through this, then I've got to do this for you so that you don't go through what I went through.
Yes. Yeah.
Somehow,
I think subconsciously,
like living
yeah.
vicariously through that
Yeah.
person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. All right. Well, let's go back to young talk a bit because it's gotten a bit heavy.
Oh, and my friend
Yeah.
she said understanding the difference in generational gaps and what is acceptable now that may not have
Mhm.
been when our parents were our age, the difference with how they parent compared to how their parents did. I guess.
Yeah, so I think everybody's reacting to what they got, kind
Yes,
of.
yeah, yeah. Actually, yeah, I did watch something about that. I remember it was a very interesting video, and it was like, oh, why would you? It was something because you know how parents say, "My house, my rules," or if I had to go through this, if I had to wash the dishes by hand when I was your age, then so do you. But it's like now we have dishwashers. There's a dishwasher in the kitchen, but because you had to wash dishes by hand, you want me to do the same thing.
Right.
That's funny. That's a funny example, but that is
Okay.
true. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so do you think it's, I mean, it already really boils down to communication conversations.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
We just need to talk more and we need to use language that both of us understand.
yeah.
Because sometimes I talk to young people and I'm not sure which language they're speaking. I think 2 years ago, my favorite one was "I'm just gassed," and I'm like, "What's up with that?" Oh, Auntie, that thing is pang, and I'm like, "Say what?" so, so, so if you're going to have, we were going to have these conversations,
Yeah.
you have to help us.
Yeah.
You
Actually, yeah.
know?
My mom, when because she was a supply teacher, so that she would go into schools and they would always teach her the slang and stuff. So she would come home and be like, "That's so peg. That's so."
I mean, I think it's a whole new language, and I find it interesting.
Oh,
Right? For me, it's like listening to rap music. I never understand what they're
yeah.
saying, but okay. But Auntie T's got to like bop to it, and everyone's like, "Yeah, Auntie T's so cool," and Auntie T has
Yeah.
no idea what they're saying, but she's believing that it's all cool.
Honestly, I would have never thought. I thought you knew it all. I was pretty sure you knew what we were talking about.
Don't worry, I'm learning. I'm learning. So, so now let's look at it. Something that came up before was the fact that young people tend to internalize things.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
That they keep a lot of stuff inside.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Um. it's just, I feel like sometimes you think it's just easier. It's just easier to manage just what we feel rather than if we speak and then someone else is allowed in, it just makes things difficult. Yeah, yeah. I think that's what it really comes down to. Not wanting to hear from other people's perspectives. It's almost like you're very protective of your issues. You don't want anyone to come in and be talking anyhow because you feel like you have it all together already.
Is that an expectation that has come from young people deciding that we're all supposed to be in a particular way, that there's a lot of pressure to be in a particular way? So if you're not conforming or if you're not at that level, then is it kind of like we
Correct.
put on an air, we
Yeah.
pretend, we're like everything is cool when it's not?
Yeah. Yeah. I do feel like we have our own, I mean, peer expectations, and then we have parent expectations, and we have the expectations of ourselves as well.
Oh,
And
a lot of great expectations.
exactly,
Great
exactly. Like,
expectations.
peers expected to just be normal, like just be cool, be smart, stuff like that. Your parents expect you to be smart as well. They expect you to be a good child, whatever. There may not be bad expectations, but you have your own as well. So it's just piles and piles and piles of pressure. And when you're not seen to be coping with the pressure very well, it's you don't want to talk about it because everyone else seems like they're coping with the pressure fine. Yeah. So no,
Okay, so you guys don't, is it that you guys don't level with each other? Is that the good word? Is it level with each other?
yeah.
I'm not sure.
I think it depends. Depends on the friendship. Depends on the relationship that you have with those people. And even still, so, unless it comes up, you don't want to really talk about it. For example, I really struggled with I struggled a bit with food. Like for a while, I didn't really. Yeah, I just struggled with food and stuff like that. So I didn't talk about it maybe till like 2 years after I'd struggled with it. So yeah, and it was like to one person, and she was like, how could I have been with you this whole time and I didn't know? But it's just like nobody asked. I didn't really see the need to tell anyone. I was coping with it fine. I got through it, so I thought, yeah, let me not. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any way we can help with that? I mean, because anytime, I come across or I hear that, young people keep things in, they don't talk about it. How do you think, and I mean, all the young people, on the chat, how do you think we can get you guys to open up and talk about these issues? I mean, we don't necessarily have to come on Insta Lives and everybody comes and begin to say, I have this problem.
Exactly.
I'm sure that's not the answer. But what kind of ways what kind of environments or atmospheres or what can we do? What do you think we can do to make sure that we don't have young people just keeping these in?
Yeah.
Somebody says prayers. My parents praying for me. That's comforting. Yes.
Yeah. I would say opening up about yourself as well, because I feel like a lot of our parents come across as perfect. They don't have they didn't do this when they were younger. They didn't do that when they were younger. So it's like, if I talk about what I'm doing right now, they're not going to understand. So let me just not, because you feel judged inevitably. You feel like you're comparing yourself against a perfect standard, just falling short. So exactly.
Well, you kind of know we're not perfect, don't you?
Yeah, but there's no evidence of that.
You weren't there when we went to school. All right. Effect is forming friendship with your children.
Exactly. Really, really
allowing
for that kind of comfort space to be able to just speak out and listen without feeling attacked or judged or.
So do you think if we told you guys our own, in quote, flaws,
Yes.
and the fact that we're not perfect, and the fact that, look, we've struggled the
Yeah.
way you've struggled.
Hmm.
I mean, like Kem said, parents can share their own experiences in a teachable way.
Hmm.
You know, it we do parents come across as perfect? Well, they seem
Not
to not have done
perfect.
anything wrong.
Not perfect, but we don't know what you did. Like, you can say you're not perfect and you're just talking about, I don't know, like taking meat from the pot or something like that. That's not a serious kind of flaw. So, so
You want to find out whether we raped and got drunk and then
yeah,
were brought home by the
yeah,
police or something like
yeah.
that. I didn't do that. I'm just using it as an example.
Yeah. So just tell us, like, tell us. I know. Yeah, just kind of make it relatable. Make us know that you were actually a child once, like you were actually young once, that you wanted to do things, you did things and stuff like that. Don't make it seem like it was a different world, it was perfect when you were growing up. You didn't really get into trouble. Yeah.
You sure you want to be telling you? Do we know where, this age of social media?
Mm-hmm.
Before I did, do we want to do we want to tell you guys our stuff and then you be like, yeah, like my mom, yeah, right. She told me, yeah, like, and then suddenly you have the gist on Facebook, you know. You people don't go and tell them my stuff. But what I'm just saying is that I agree with you. There's got to be, like somebody said, there's got to be like some measure of vulnerability on both sides.
Yeah.
And I guess it takes a bit for parents to be vulnerable. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, because you want to set that good example, and you want your kids to look up to you.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes admitting those flaws sometimes can be seen as what is there to look up to, but I don't think it's necessarily that way. The
No,
fact that you're flawed.
I think
Go on.
once you admit that you struggled, it makes us look up to you more. Because,
Oh,
yeah, because I think it's like, oh, so you used to do this. That means I have hope now that I can get through it. For example, in the Bible, and let me throw a bit of Bible knowledge in here. So it says that Jesus, for the hope set before him, he endured the cross, and now he's sitting by the right hand of the Father and stuff like that. So he went through the trouble, and then now he's in glory. So that's kind of the situation at hand. We can look to that, we can aspire to that, knowing that right now all our troubles are menial compared to the glory that awaits us. So if we apply that to parenting, you went through troubles, you went through maybe not being first or second in class. You went through this, you went through that, but now you're at a place in society where you've got a job, you've got a good house, you've got this and that. So it shows us that, okay, all I have to do is work hard. I might not be doing the best in school right now, but if I keep working hard, if I keep praying hard, eventually I'll get to where I want to be, for example. Yeah, so I think
okay.
that, yeah.
Okay. So that's a conversation we'll have with parents. I said when we begin to talk to my contemporaries. Mama Jesus, we're not telling you all our gist. Yeah, but it is
Build the
true.
team. Build the team.
We're not telling you all our gist. No, but it is true. It's about vulnerability. And I think, like you said, there has to come a time when we're comfortable enough and secure enough in ourselves to be able to discuss, to be able to have those kind of situations, because nobody's really perfect if you
Yeah.
look at it.
Okay.
And whether you're a parent or you're a child, whether you're an adult or a young person, we're not perfect.
Yeah.
We're all aiming towards perfection. Okay, so one last question before we wrap this up. I don't know how we turned this into some parenting, but I'm sure that we've learned some stuff, because I have, about having these conversations.
Yeah.
But what I would say in a final point is, if there's something you could tell your contemporaries.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, one moment. Tammy said, especially for dads. We're going to be talking to some dads. Don't worry. I've got some
Do
gifts.
it.
If there's something you could share with your contemporaries right now, what would you tell them?
I would say notice your flaws and work on them. That's what I would say. I would say it's trying to be the best person that you can be. Notice your flaws and allow people to kind of speak about your flaws. So, for example, I wasn't always the best listener. I wanted to get my point across. I wouldn't listen to other people's points. I thought I had a good point, but allowing people to be like, you should listen more. It's not always about you getting your point across. What about other people's? Allowing people to speak to that, and then me working on that in myself so I can become better. So I think it's about not being proud. Allow yourself to understand that you're not perfect, that there are some things that you need to change, and allow other people to speak about you, to you, so that you can change.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. I wish we could have this because there's so much I really wanted to learn. And like I said, for me, it's a learning curve. It's an interesting curve because I'm more, like I said, I'm more interested in what you guys have to tell me, what you guys have to say, because there's always, we're all used to talking to you and talking, like you said, talking at you. But you also have a voice. And I think one thing I want young people to always know is you have a voice. And you use your voice. I know sometimes as if parents are not listening, but we're learning. But we're listening and we're learning.
Yeah.
And lockdown has forced us to learn to listen more.
Yes.
So every cloud has its silver lining. And I just hope that we continue to have those necessary conversations, those important conversations about where we all are at. And we continue to learn to bridge that gap between the young and the not so young. I refuse to be called old, but the not so young. I'm not old.
You're not old.
I can't be old. So again, Toni, TJ Rina, thank you so much for coming. I mean, you had a great time.
I did.
I hope you were able to tell me some stuff I needed to know. And just listening.
I hope I was a good voice to everyone, to all the younger people here as well. I hope I aired our laundry.
We gotta hear, Mama G, we've got to hear. I mean, thanks for all those who've come on to hear us. I saw Ola come on, Ola Thomas. I've got to give a shout out to her. Yes, that's her. She's somebody who held my hand until I got this going. So Ola Thomas, thank you so much. Shout out to Fikayo. That's my Instagram teacher. She's the one who tells me, Aunty T, you have to press this one. You have to use that button. So thanks to everyone. I hope we're learning. Parents, we're going to have our own sessions at some point, especially moms, and then we're going to be talking to dads. And it's not so much about, it's just about, talking and having a voice and knowing that everybody deserves to be heard.
Absolutely.
So thanks again.
Thank
Toni.
you. Thank you.
Love you, girl. Love you. Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks to everyone. Bye, sweetheart. Bye. Thanks to everyone who's come along. I hope we all had a good time. I hope we all learned both sides of it as we bridge these gaps between the young and us not so young. Thanks, Maoli. At least you didn't call me elderly today, so I'm very happy. Thanks for coming. Blessings. Thanks, everyone, for joining. I hope you had a lovely time. We'll be here again in 2 weeks with another young person. We've had 2 ladies now. Our next guest is a young man, and we're going to be having another conversation. Maybe get it a little bit from a young man's perspective. So God bless you, everyone. For all my young people, remember that you are young, you are strong. The word of God abides in you, and you have overcome the evil one. Ola, don't start that one. No. Thanks, Beckety, my brother. Thank you so much, Yemi. Mama G, we have our session. Presido, thanks. Have a lovely evening, everyone. God bless. Please stay safe. And we know that God is with us even in these times. Good night, everyone, and God bless. Goodbye.